Namaskar,
Should I
everyone.
start? Should I start now?
Yeah, I'll just 30 seconds.
Sure.
Yeah, Namaskar, everyone. Welcome to part two of Dr. Shiv Chaturvedi ji's lecture series on Varnashram, Jati and Caste, modern critical chintan for our times. Uh, Before we begin, I just want to introduce our moderator and going forward in this series. Dr. Ravinder Kaulji. He hails from New Jersey. He has been a co-activist for a long time, and he has a deep interest in Dharma studies. As we continue, our purpose here is it's not just limited to uh, partaking Dr. Shiv Chaturvedi ji's excellent research and intellect in this matter, but also find the scholars who will actually take this research further. And this is where Dr. Ravinder Kaulji's role will come into picture. So anybody who wishes to pursue this in a scholarly manner and in the framework of Dharma, please contact Ravinderji, and there is also a Google Classroom setup where you can join and take this further. So without much delay, now I hand it over to Ravinderji, and who will take it from here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rajivji. Welcome everybody to the second lecture. It is very, as Rajivji has pointed out, it is very important that the younger people and the people who are interested in this should join into the study and explore further and more deeply and address this issue of the caste jati varna confusion which has been created, and how to respond it, because most people today actually feel very on the back foot whenever this issue comes up, but because of the lack of knowledge. And we have a great opportunity right now in this 6 series course to learn from Dr. Chaturvedi and carry it further from there. I have left my contact number on the chat box, and anyone who wants to continue it further, please contact me on that number, and we can then have further conversation on this. With not much ado further, I would invite Dr. Chaturvedi ji to start his second lecture. Thank you very much.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namo Namaha. Om Angirasaya Namo Namaha. Om Kapilaya Namo Namaha. Om Gargaya Namo Namaha. Om Radha Krishna Abhyam Namo Namaha. Om Samastra Matra Shakti Devi Namo Namaha. समस्त आचार्यों को नमन, समस्त संतों को नमन, समस्त ज्ञानियों विज्ञानियों योगियों को नमन करता हुआ, and I bow down to all of you, this distinguished gathering today. And we are going to make a Tirthayatra into the Vedic world through this topic. We will move together, walk together, sing it together. And in this yatra, we will encounter lots of new insights and understanding. We'll sing some new songs, some new perspectives, new articulation, new framework to able to enjoy and understand deeply enough about this topic. This topic is very broad, very deep. It interconnects so many dimensions of the Vedic worldview. And once in a while, along the way, we'll also share with you some of the critical observations from the Abrahamic traditions as we go along. which will be taken up later on in the modern context, the Western construction of the social stratification. And there are two kinds of yatras in this world primarily. One is called the Jail Yatra, other one is called Tirth Yatra. So we are going to do Tirth Yatra, which will take us to higher grounds of enlightenment or deeper grounds of understanding. Jail Yatra is something that we are all familiar with, leads to misery, misunderstanding, agyan, and finally the bondage. Most of us go through periodically through both these yatras. And let me give you the big picture. This is a story of mystery, wonder, and puzzlement, a pilgrimage towards human identity within the limited aspect of social domain. That's the focus of this lecture series. Within the limited aspect of social domain. And I will request with my folded hand, all the audience, I have tried to capture the sense and ideas with authentic linguistic terms. And I will be using Hindi, Sanskrit, and English terminology wherever I can find easy to communicate with. So please bear with me to come along in this yatra. The Vedic worldview, there are lots of images starting from Rig Veda all the way to Purana, Smriti, even today's world, lot of images in every field of knowledge. And these images convey a lot of hidden structures and meaning and purpose behind our existence. So last time I just, first of all, a little bit overview of the last lecture, talked about the Srishti Yoga Dharma, a spider web within his own web. This is the emanation concept, not the creation concept I talked about last time. प्रकृति का इस ब्रह्मांड का प्रादुर्भाव, not the creation of the Abrahamic tradition. And the Narayan Sukti starts with all this, that it is an image like web spider, the spider creating its own web, its own srishti out of his own self, play around with this srishti, maintains this srishti, enters into this srishti, and then finally dissolution takes place and the spider sits there in a transcendental state. In modern theological terms, we have the what we call the one supreme personality of Godhead is a transcendental as well as immanent. In Western tradition or Abrahamic tradition, this entity is transcendental only. It does not enter into its own creation. And then you see the other image, Dvasaparno Sayuja Sakhaya Samanam Brakcham Paraswasvajati. On this tree, there are two words, Jivatman and Paramatman. One engaged in activities in Bhogavritti, Yogavritti, other one looks at what is going on as a Sakshi, as a Drishta, does not get perturbed in the Samatya Yoga or a state of Achyut idea. So this is where the differentiation comes from the other traditions as far as the foundational ideas are concerned. Let's look at how they are perceived and how they are practiced. This is the colonial British surgeon, Dr. Francis, India Diary, around 1891. And in diary, at one location, Dr. Francis describes that how do Hindus respond or behave or exhibit their internal understanding. For example, mode of taking oath. In all the countries, it is usual to swear to truth or otherwise of a statement by something which is held most sacred. Some of these spelling mistakes are many places, I'm sorry. Christians take oath upon Bible, Mohammedans on the Quran, but the Hindus do so upon any of the several objects. They can take oath on Shastras, they can take oath with Ganga water, they can take oath with salagram, they can take oath with tulsi plant, they can take oath with Rudramala, they can take oath in the presence of fire, or many Hindus consider most binding oath of all the eldest son. And this is the observation of Dr. Francis in his diaries. And look at the plurality of taking oath. And why this plurality is? Because all these objects and entities are the divine sacred entities. The physical world is the body of Narayan, Rigved 1090. This is the clear picture of how a common person, Hindu person, takes oath. Why there is a variety? Why there is plurality? Because the sacredness, the Narayan entered into his own creation in each and every element. Very wonderful observation, and one can differentiate then. So the last time the world became disjointed, discorded, separated, a broken world, the process of Srishti. The great question was how this broken world or creation or the Srishti can be comprehended as the unified whole. Only through cosmic Purusha, Virat Purush. और उसमें दो मंत्र हमने पढ़े थे कि Brahman was his mouth, Kshatriya princes became his arms, all thighs produced the Vaisya, his feet gave birth to the Sudra. Then from his navel, the Antariksh, a sky rose from his head, from feet the earth, from ears the directions and dimensions, thus they form the worlds. 1090 is a 16 mantra, very compressed file. We can go on that mantra for months together to understand and unfold its hidden meanings and mysteries. So significant point we viewed last time, there are 4 major organs spaces with the divine body of Virat Purusha, and multitude of entities emerging from each. corresponding equivalences and homologies. Sudra and Mother Earth from his feet. These are the foundational entity. Remaining three, Brahmana, Kshatri, Vaishya, will lose their significance. All entities are the organs of Narayana Divya Sharir, or are divine. The value of each of them integrally dependent on the whole. You cannot take one out and say, well, it exists independently of the whole. All the parts and parcels of Purushottam. This is the return to unity against the differentiated diversity, separation, and brokenness of the world. Mother Earth, Sudra, is the most exalted foundation of the collective existence. And how you look at how the switching takes place, the placement of these four varnas, how they are switched around, and how what goes on the feet. There are three worlds. The whole Srishti has been divided in three broader domains, or I call kshetras: Adidev, Adhyatma, Adibhut, and they are interacting. Ashwini Kumar is Addev, Adhyatma, sense of smell, Adibhut, knows. In each of us, these aspects exist. In each of the living entities, these aspects exist. Sense of motion, Vishnu, where does he, where is he situated? At the feet. At our feet, Vishnu ka vaas hai. Arth ka adhyatma sarup nose or smell, or Vishnu jo hai kanke feet and destination. So no, and if you look at the Moksha Parva Mahabharat, again, Vishnu Dev is at the feet. So you can see here how the location changes when the context changes. These are the three categories in classification which are broadly available. The big picture is Sanatana Yoga Dharma Kshetra. It has three broader categories embedded within it, contained within it: Adhyatma Yoga Dharma Kshetra, Adidevik Dharma Kshetra, Adibhautik Yoga Dharma Kshetra. And then Vedic worldview has been classified and categorized in exhaustive ways. Categorization of universe, of natural world, of the divine world, of the human world, the space, time, flora and fauna, human body, dharma and yoga. Even moksha has classification and categorization. Classification, categorization, social world, physical world, everything you see around in this cosmos has gone through categorization, classification in the Vedic worldview. It is so wide, so interconnected, and in fact, it is so entangled that it's not easy to figure it out, just like modern classification and categorization, the field of biological sciences and mathematical sciences, or so many of those. And finally, they are looking at the unified picture. Very important. In future lectures, I'm going to compare and contrast some of those pictures and ideas as we go along. Why do we do? The question comes up, especially in the modern world or contemporary world. Most of us raise this question: why have to do classification and categorization? Well, if you have not understood yet, it means you are not living in this world yet. So I'm going to give you some insight to be able to study and understand the self, who we are, what the entity is. If I have to classify a material world, I have to go to a periodic table. And you will be surprised to know the periodic table, it has a long history of it. Today, I don't have time to go over how it has come up. Different classifications were introduced at the time. But finally, periodic table, the current periodic table emerged. And the Mendeleev and others were influenced deeply by Vedic principles of classification categorization. And Vedic principles depend on the idea of finding a unified ground, a common ground behind the multidimensionality of entity and existence, through which only you can provide proper classification, categorization. Able to manage healthy, happy, harmonious, and creative living, ability to create new ways and new means and changing conditions, circumstances, and times, able to evolve toward reaching ultimate goals of life, to able to identify unifying themes and ideas within the differentiated, diversified, and separated entity. This is a broken world. Every entity you see around, my goodness, there are 100 types of apples. Each fruit you take, there are 100 types of apples. For example, my goodness, we go out and start choosing the apples. Which one is this variety? Which one is this variety? Some variety is good for its purpose. What purpose is? For baking. Some are good for eating. Some are good for preserving for a long time. So you will find out, oh my goodness, why so many varieties? And we pick and choose. Well, can you say which one is the best? I don't know what you're talking about. You tell me whether the gold is the best or the steel is the best. I don't know what you're talking about. I had to create a context under which I can do the evaluation. And these ideas of evaluation, criteria for evaluation, context behind the evaluation will come up in the later lecture. But keep in mind, how do we evaluate the relative merits ranking? So this is a very important, deeper aspect which the Vedic rishis have understood very well, and they have attempted and to categorize each and everything available to them at that time. And they allow us to have further categories, newer categories, throw out old categories, bring new categories in, but you have to do classification, categorization. Let's look at one example. Many of you may not be familiar with. In Brahman class, for example, if you look at this is one of the classification based on the internal virtue and action, good karma. Only guna and karma. And some comes with the, what you call the birth. Kulumatra Brahman, born in Brahman family, but without the required virtues and karmas. Yagnakarmi Brahman, Karmakandi, knowing and performing the yagna. Srotri Brahman, knowing and performing the Vedic yagna along with knowing the Vedanga. Anuchan Brahman, knower of Vedas, upholding the purity of the tradition and teaching only to his or her own disciples. They do not teach to anyone, only to their own qualified disciples. Then Anuchan Bhrun Brahman, Anuchan Brahman has the characteristics of the Anuchan Brahman plus taking only sanctified food left out of yagna. Then comes the another category, Rishikal Brahman, embodiment of Vedic and worldly wisdom, control of all the senses, जिसने अपने सभी इंद्रियों पर इंद्रियों का निरोध कर दिया है, ऐसे ब्राह्मण को ऋषिकल ब्राह्मण, ऋषि ब्राह्मण, embodiment of divine wisdom and powers, capable of delivering curse as well as boon, upholder of Ritam Satyam values, Brahmagyani. These are Brahmagyani 5, 6, 7. And then we have Muni Brahman, who always under yogic samadhi, upholder of Samatha Yoga and divine powers, Brahmagyani. Then under modern conditions, under contemporary conditions, I created a new category. Lok Sangrah Yogi Brahman, creating new knowledge, wisdom for the whole humanity with the natural world, while sustaining and acting through the embodiment of Vedic Sanatan Dharma values. Anyone, no matter where he is born, he may be born in other traditions, other cultures, but as long as he or she is capable of creating new knowledge and wisdom for the whole humanity, along with the wisdom for natural world, within the natural world, while sustaining the Vedic Sanatana Dharmic values, I name that individual as Lok Sangrah Yogi Brahman. My dear friends, please note, special things to note. An individual embodies the characteristic of all the four varnas to a smaller or larger degree. However, some of them may not manifest in the practical living. May Hare Manav, all these classification, categorization, or the lecture theoretical basis, foundational basis, they are addressed to each and every living human being. It is not my people or your people. It is not my followers or your followers. Every individual carries अपने शरीर में चारों वर्ण स्थित है. They may not manifest at the same time or during this lifetime, but हर एक के अंदर कभी हम क्षत्रिय की तरह जब काम करते हैं, क्षत्रिय स्वरूप में काम करते हैं, कभी हम ब्राह्मण स्वरूप में कर्म करते हैं, कभी हम वैश्य स्वरूप में कर्म करते हैं, और कभी हम शूद्र स्वरूप में कर्म करते हैं. हम वास्तव में सभी के मिक्स स्वरूप में अधिकांश समय काम करते हैं. ये हमारा कर्म क्षेत्र है, ये हमारा गुण क्षेत्र है. और आज के प्रोफेशनल लाइफ में प्रोफेशनल कैटेगरीज बदलती जा रही हैं. हम सभी वर्णों के थ्रू अपने आप को प्रस्तुत करते हैं. And there are similar subcategories of Kshatriya Varna, Vaishya Varna, and Sudra Varna. These subcategories containing a sizable number of homologous members within each were regrouped under a new identified term Jati, just like genus. जैसे एप्पल की 100 कैटेगरीज हैं और 200 कैटेगरीज, और किसी एंटिटी की लॉट ऑफ कैटेगरीज हैं, तो they have some homology, similarity of dharma, their properties, characteristics. Then they can be grouped. All are called apples, same. Then you have Fuji apple, then you have crisp apple, crisp variety, Fuji variety, this variety, that variety. These are the subcategories. So those subcategories then are grouped together in terms of what they call the jati. So basically we have two important bigger classification, grouping, mini groups become bigger groups at jati, and the varna is the overwhelming classification. Particular object entities within the classifying scheme may fall into 2 or more categories. Particular object entities may move around within the categories depending upon the context. संदर्भ में, उपयोगिता में, value में. These schemes do not have rigid boundaries, can shrink or expand and intersect. The new classification categories are permitted with the changing circumstances. This is the categorization. This is, my dear friends, the world of categorization and classification from within the Vedic world. Now let's look at the Varna, why we have to introduce a new term. There is a term called Dharma, there's a term called Yoga, there's a term called Adharma, Ajnana, Jnana. There's so many terms which are highly loaded, multidimensional, Bahurupia, polymorphous. They are the Kshetra. I have used, remember, I will be using additional terminology as so I call the Varna Kshetra, I call the Yoga Kshetra, I call Dharma Kshetra, which is a concept of field. And later on, if somebody asks me question, otherwise in later lectures, I'm going to discuss and describe the meanings and the range of meanings behind each of these loaded terms as a compressed computer files. Appearance of the word Varna. In Rig Veda, it contains about derivatives, and Varna contains about 23 times. In Bhagavad Gita, 2 times. Major Upanishads, 14 times. In many Shastras, Puranas, including Nartha Shastra, including in Vedas, including Dhanur Veda, including आपका जो आजकल एलोपैथी versus Ayurvedic tradition, in Ayurveda, in every discipline, the idea of Varna comes up. And I'm giving you only a few examples because the list is very exhaustive. It is overwhelming. So we do not want to overwhelm you in these lectures, because details then can be looked at whenever they are needed, or wherever there is a conflict or confusion come along in understanding and in application. Rig Veda is a wide range of meaning. All beauty resides in the Varna of Agni, for example. Oh, wonderful. Agni का स्वरूप क्या, अग्नि का वर्ण क्या है, वायु का वर्ण क्या है, पृथ्वी का वर्ण क्या है, आकाश का वर्ण क्या है, जल का वर्ण क्या है, महाभूतों का वर्ण क्या है. The cow follows the varna of Agni, while Agni is called the leader in the sense of cows, ghee and Agni flames joined together in the yajna. Asura Varna, Survarn, Brahma Devata Varn is a red Varn, Vishnu Devata is a black Varn, Arya Varn, and Arya Varn. Vardmala, language of vowels and consonants. हमारी संस्कृत भाषा में वर्णमाला. Varna, musical swara structure. Varna of visible light, white. Varna of darkness is black. Gyan Varna, Agyan Varna. Gyan Varna is white, Agyan Varna is black. रस शास्त्र में वर्णों का वर्णन, श्रृंगार रस का श्याम वर्ण है. अद्भुत रस, जिसे फ्राइटनिंग मूड का कहते हैं, उसको रस है जो अद्भुत रस है, उसका ब्लैक वर्ण है. रुद्र रस है, उसका ब्लड रेड वर्ण है. And then there are color or mixtures of color, almost inexhaustible varieties of varnas. Out of all this big field, big kshetra, in encompassing the whole cosmos. Every entity has its varna. The material world has varnas. The flowers have varnas. The Vanaspati world has varnas. And name it. Even if you go to the elementary particle world, the very, very micro world, they also assign some varnas to some of the elementary particles. The varna is the word itself, multidimensional, multi-layered identifier, ranging from the inner nature to activities to outer manifestation as visible colors. It can identify some of the guna karma, social and personal characteristics of human beings. It has nothing to do with the notion of racial category, which is the Western dehumanizing social category introduced starting 17th, 18th century, based on what we call the evolution of physical sciences, categorization inspired by the categorization of material world. It does denote as one of the identifiable characteristics of physical entities. It is not the final, total, singular identification. No, all the physical identities have very many identifiable characteristics which had to be taken into account in order to make relative evaluation. This is very important. And I'm going to go through some of these as far as the human beings are concerned. How do we identify? Let's give one example. And so I'm going to re-emphasize that varna is one of the many identifiers encompassing an inner structure, characteristics, properties, as well as outer colors of the entities, whether they are sentient, chetan, or achetan. Let's look at how they are differently seen. A person with white varna coat, सफेद कोट पहने हुए अगर हॉस्पिटल में किसी को देख लेंगे आप, तो you will recognize him or her to be a doctor. He or she must be a doctor. So white varna coat identifies outwardly that the person is a doctor. Now, if a person with white varna coat in the cremation ground, तो लगता है ये cremation ground में आया हुआ है, लगता है ये अर्थी के साथ आया हुआ है, ये दाह संस्कार में आया हुआ है. Meaning changes, context changes. Hospital was one context, जिसमें सफेद रंग का कोट की अलग मीनिंग थी, और वह अलग मीनिंग है, और वही मीनिंग बदल जाती है. That meaning changes as if you are situated in the cremation ground with white varna coat. Now, if you look at the, for example, if you have seen the burial place, when in the Christian tradition, Judeo-Christian and Brahmin tradition, they go to bury the dead bodies, they do not use white coat or white dress, they use black dress. Let me give you a little bit flavor. It's a wonderful, beautiful world. I tell you, if I started talking about these beauty and wonders and hidden mysteries, then I think we will be, oh my goodness, it's so wonderful, and we don't have time anyway. Sorry for digression. Yeah, वहाँ black dress रहती है. Black dress associated with the darkness because their focus on the body has gone. The what you call the ruh has gone, or what you call the soul has gone, and soul and ruh are the living forces. They have nothing to do with the Atman. शरीर की consciousness चली गई है, शरीर की चेतना चली गई है, शरीर का जो है कॉग्निटिव स्ट्रक्चर डेड हो गया है। इसलिए विद रेफरेंस टू द बॉडी, मटेरियल बॉडी, they mourn by wearing the black dress. In our reference point, wearing the white dress is the Atman. Atman का स्वरूप शुद्ध, विशुद्ध, सफेद है, white, no spot. इसीलिए it is the white Varna. Look at the person with orange Varna outfit, maybe a football fan of a team. If you look at the orange dress, I think some of the, I think Buckeye, Ohio State University football team has the orange dress. So if you look at the football fan, they will be dressed up in totally in orange from top to bottom. But if you look at the orange color, otherwise, orange color dress, तो उसको सन्यासी की पहचान है। अगर आप गेरुआ वस्त्र पहने किसी को देखेंगे तो पहले, सबसे पहले आइडेंटिफिकेशन ये होगा कि वो गेरुआ वस्त्र पहने हुए सन्यासी ही होगा। हो सकता फेक सन्यासी हो, then you have to go a little deeper into it. So this is the one example of the context dependent meaning of outer color only. So the 4 divisions, look at the initial 4-fold order was created by me according to the divisions of guna karma के अनुसार विभाग किया गया. Of Brahman, of Kshatriyas, of Vaisyas, also Sudras, karmani. Activities are distinguished in accordance with the qualities and inherent nature born of their swabhav. A very wonderful term. Swabhav, swadharma. These are wonderful, wonderful terms. They will be talking about as we keep on going these lectures. So Brahman, Kshatri, Vaisya, only 4 social varnas. And based on guna and karma. But there is another question mark later on. We will bring in where the birth come from. Yes, birth come from these born of their subhav, inherent nature. So social karmas based on gunas born of subhav, dominant inherent nature. Dominant inherent nature, this does not include external body features such as shape, size, skin, or color. External features in these classifications are not included at all. They are excluded totally. While the skin color becomes the dominant theme in the Western world when you talk about race and racism. Another very important classification, very, very important classification or categorization of, I am giving you this, Yoga Dharma Kshetra. Human body, male, female, or born in any tradition or of any varna, does not matter. You have internal yoga dharma, internal world, and you have external world, outer world, and there is an interaction between internal world and external world. And here Vedic rishis proclaim broadly that whatever is out there, it is within each of us. What is within each of us, it's also out of us. जो पिंड में है वो ब्रह्मांड में है, जो ब्रह्मांड में है वो पिंड में है. It has a list of great consequences for contemporary world of science and technology and the biological world. I'm not going to discuss today. Only this very concept. Look at another classification and identification for all varnas. Here in all these classification, I'm giving you only sample. When human personality is diagnosed and categorized, the here varna system does not come into play. Exists for all human beings, for all varnas. Purushottam, Purush. Then we have a causal body, you have a subtle body, you have a gross body. Each one has its own characteristics, its own properties, its own world, but they are all interacting. They are interactive field. That's why I call the world Kshetra. Then we have a layered medium. Annamaya course, there are 5 recognized. I have added 3 more. I have added 3 more. The addition of 3 more is very, very important. Much of the Vedic world, much of the literature has not been re-examined and not has been updated, innovated under contemporary context. It needs to be done. So there are 5 kosas in our Upanishads and the yoga tradition. Annamaya kosh, pranamaya kosh, manomaya kosh, vijnanamaya kosh, and anandamaya kosh. I have added 3 more: ahankarmaya kosh, chittamaya kosh, hridayamaya kosh. And they have very, very wonderful relevance to discuss and think about it, understand about our own existence. Another prakritic field, guna field, for all varnas and human beings. Sattva, rajas, tamas, and mishrit guna. Sat, raj, tam, and mishrit guna. Reactive mixture of sat, rajas, and tamas. And these are the guna field. And they exist in every varna. They exist in every human being. They exist actually in every living entity in different forms. They are polymorphous. They are field concept. They merge into each other. So no individual human being can be only under all conditions, under all times, Sattvic mode. All modes will exist to greater or smaller degrees and kinds in each of us all the time. And then we have Antahakarana Chit. New name was given to these entities, Chit, Ahankar, Manas, and Buddhi. In sabko their collective field, Kshetra, isko Antahakaran Kshetra kaha gaya. Another very, very important identification and classification, my dear friends. Psycho-energetic body, valid for all varnas. Oh my goodness, this is the basis of Kundalini Yoga. Look at the Sankhya Yoga. Another identification for all varnas. इसमें 25 तत्व हैं और एक तत्व जो यहाँ मिसिंग है वो है काल, समय. एक तत्व और जो मिसिंग है यहाँ पर पुरुषोत्तम. ये 2 यहाँ पर मिसिंग है. देखिए आपको कर्मेंद्रियां हैं, ज्ञानेंद्रियां हैं. Not only that, Mahabhuta, the physical world, the world of Chetana, world of Achetana, all are here. All the basic elements of the natures are here. Or these actually, then these elements here, these sub-classification, then they can be regrouped into Adhyatmic Yoga Kshetra, Adi Bhautik Yoga Kshetra, Adi Devik Yoga Kshetra. Oh my goodness. So significant point to note here, all human beings exhibit various states of Mishrit Guna. A person in a state of, say, Sattvic mode means the dominant mode is Sattvic, but the other modes are present too. An individual can perpetuate each of these modes, dominating one at a time, even during a single day. Manifestation of behavior may vary similarly, and an interior cognitive emotional state can also vary. Above inherent characteristics of human nature are common to all persons, but they also create diversity and plurality of human personalities. Important. They're common to all, but there's a wide variety and diversity and plurality of human personality based on the field concept associated with these kshetras or with these categorization. So now look at some, I'm giving you the defining characteristics based on the Bhagavad Gita. We can elaborate on these. Serenity, self-control, austerity, purity, forbearance, uprightness, wisdom, knowledge, and dharma shraddha. These are the duties of Brahman born of his swabhava. Heroism, vigor, steadiness, resourcefulness, not fleeing even the battle, generosity, leadership. These are some of the qualities of duties of Kshatriya born of his nature. Agriculture, tending cattle and trade are duties of Vaishya born of his own nature. Work of character of service, service industry, all artisans, all services, all sevas are duty of Sudra born of his nature, Subhava. View of, based on these four varna, look at the one of the very important British writer, Gerald Hurd, published book in 1954, Aryan Sanskriti sociological thought, which the first defined and named this fourfold structure of society, is as much our British as India's. That's what the British writer is writing. Emphasizes the need for a quadri-type organization of society. He writes, it would seem then that there have always been present in human community four types of or strata of consciousness. ये चातुर्वर्ण वो कह रहा है हमेशा से मानव में प्रेजेंट रहे हैं. If you look at back the history, then he talks about different basic classes and proposes an outline toward identifying with the corresponding varna structure. After critiquing his own messy, unstable, mutually confrontational ground reality of British society in the era of Industrial Revolution. Please read carefully some of the latest researches done, the authentic history of British society in the era of Industrial Revolution, to get to know the miseries they felt, the class conflict and horrible conditions of the workers, craftsmen, artisans, the lowest on the social scale of British society. That will open our eyes clear and wide. And this has a relevance to contemporary world of Indian society in terms of caste and the degeneration of varna and jati into caste system. Look at the four varna. This is Srimad Bhagavatam. How contrasting it is. How wonderful, beautiful it is. How paradoxical it may seem. Here are the duties of 4 varnas. O King Yudhishthira, these 30 qualifications are the most exalted duties for all human beings. Satyam, Daya, Tapa, Socham, Titiksha, Samadama, Ahimsa, Brahmacharya, Tyag, Swadhyay, Arjavam, Santosh, Samadriksi, observing futility of unnecessary worldly activities, Seva, remaining silent in grave, contemplating on yourself, Dan Dena, food for all living entities, seeing Paramatma in all, सब में परमात्मा का दर्शन करना, सब में नारायण का दर्शन करना, यही तो दिव्य दर्शन है. Hearing, singing, remembering, rendering service, performing yagna, becoming a friend and surrender one's whole self to Paramatman. These 30 qualifications are all the duties for all the Varnas, Brahman, Kshatri, Vaishya and Sudra. Out of all these, look at the Subhava, what happens? I'm giving you these new insight. Impact of past karma fields, prarabdha, makes a significant impact on the present inherent nature, Subhava, and orientation towards choosing a karma kshetra. But the prarabdha is not known. Yet one has the freedom to make positive changes in the present life by following appropriate parts of karma, jnana or bhakti yoga, unless the स्वभाव has been solidified. स्वभाव के 3 स्वरूप हैं. स्वभाव means inherent dominant self nature. Solidified is hard to change. Semi-solidified, this can become solid or fluid. And fluid, this can change and transform or better or worse. And I will examine our own inherent nature, Subhav, and I examine the Subhav of tyrants in the history, or even if you look at the history of last 200 years of the Western world, you will find out the meaning of the Subhav, dominant inherent nature. स्वभाव of धृतराष्ट्र और दुर्योधन और युधिष्ठिर. धृतराष्ट्र कहते हैं महाभारत में महाभारत शुरू होने में ही in the beginning संजय को धृतराष्ट्र कहते हैं कि हे संजय, मैं जानता हूं धर्म कहां है और अधर्म कहां है, धर्म का स्वरूप क्या है, अधर्म का स्वरूप क्या है. जहां भगवान कृष्ण है वहीं जीत होगी, मेरी जीत नहीं होगी. मैं सब कुछ जानता हूं क्या हो रहा है, क्या होने वाला है, लेकिन मैं पुत्र मोह से ग्रसित हूं, फिर भी इससे छुटकारा नहीं पा रहा हूं. मैं युद्ध को रोक नहीं पा रहा हूं, मैं अन्याय को रोक नहीं पा रहा हूं, क्योंकि मेरे अंदर पुत्र मोह ने मेरे स्वभाव को ग्रसित कर रखा है. ये है what you call the hardness of the स्वभाव, solidified स्वभाव. क्या धृतराष्ट्र के अंदर और गुण नहीं थे? बहुत गुण थे. दुर्योधन के अंदर गुण नहीं थे? बहुत गुण थे. धीरेन्द्र के अंदर बहुत सद्गुण थे. सात्विक बहुत थे, राजसिक बहुत थे, तामसिक भी थे, लेकिन उन सब का जो नेट इफेक्ट था, जो विजिबल हुआ, जो that became the dominant force in his personality was the Manu, hatred filled क्रोधा अंकेश युधिष्ठिर. मैं अपने स्वभाव को देखता हूं, मैं विद्या अर्जन कर सकता हूं और विद्या दान दे सकता हूं, मेरा स्वभाव. मैं बिजनेस नहीं कर सकता, मैं युद्ध क्षेत्र में नहीं लड़ सकता, मैं सेवा कर सकता हूं लेकिन बहुत थोड़ी सेवा. तो मैं शूद्र का काम कर सकता हूं, मैं ब्राह्मण का काम कर सकता हूं, मैं क्षत्रिय वर्ण का या वैश्य वर्ण का कर नहीं सकता. इसलिए नहीं कि मेरे अंदर वो विचार नहीं है, इसलिए कि मेरे अंदर वो स्वाभाविक शक्ति का प्रस्फुटन नहीं है. That is division, प्रस्फुटन, manifestation, that I am passionate about it. My dear friend, let me in just Rajiv ji, in a couple of minutes, I'm going to conclude today's talk, if you allow me to.
Sure.
Guna Kshetra doctrine. These Kshetras are inexhaustible, unlimited, interactive Shakti grounds, containing endless varieties of characteristics that become manifest under certain internal and or external situations. Okay, I'm giving you big sutra, which is compressed file. It requires elaboration, which we do not have time yet. Give you an example. जिसके अंदर लोभ और मोह वृत्ति है, लोभ और मोह वृत्ति का combination, because they are kshetra, they interact with each other, they provide a joint configuration, a collective configuration. Infanticide of unborn girls, इंडिया में बहुत जो है अखबारों में सुनते रहते हैं आप. अमेरिकन तो जो है कहते रहे अपनी जो इन्फेंटिसाइड नहीं देखते, जो है जो 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 कहना चाहिए भ्रूण हत्या हो रही है, जो है अनबॉर्न चिल्ड्रन की हत्या हो रही है. मिलियंस ऑफ चिल्ड्रन हैव बीन किल्ड हियर व्हिच आर अनबॉर्न फॉर जस्ट फॉर द सेक एंड फैशन ऑफ not taking responsibility as parents. We will have a sex for fashion. We can have even conception for fashion, for our passion, for our lust, but we will not be able to take burden of bringing the child out. इसके बारे में जो है कहना चाहिए आप जब देखेंगे तो आप कंपेयर कर लीजिए. ये क्या है? लोभ और मोह वृत्ति का स्वरूप है. दान धर्म became dowry leading to family violence. How this rajas and tamasic mode can dominate and transform the individual and activity. दान धर्म डाउरी बन गया, जो family violence हो गया. Rampant corruption in business and political world and so on. कहां से आ गया? हर वर्ण कर रहा है आज की पद्धति में, चाहे ब्राह्मण हो, क्षत्रिय हो, वैश्य हो, शूद्र हो, हर वर्ण जो है कहना चाहिए अधिकांश लोग जो है कहना चाहिए किसी भी फील्ड में किसी जगह काम कर रहे हैं, किसी प्रोफेशनल लाइफ में, व्यक्तिगत लाइफ में कितना करप्शन और पोल्यूशन फैला हुआ है. What is that? Hindu wisdom tells you this is the dominant due to the forces of combined forces of rajas mode and tamas mode. What are the foundational doctrine then? The emergent and dominant field resulting from interaction of guna fields and karma fields from past lives manifest to become visible as the subhava, as a Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. In different yugas, great time cycle, these varnas have their different manifested guna charma kshetra. Other personality traits of Mr. Guna are also present normally in all four varnas that can manifest, however, under different context. In fact, answer to the above possibility gave rise to Ashram Dharma Kshetra, valid for all the varnas, and will be discussed in the following lessons. All doctrine ideas presented in the last two lessons are universal for all living beings, for all human beings, no matter what civilization, religious tradition, or culture may belong to. Really, they depend. They really do not depend on all these sub-classifications. They are universal and eternal in nature. These are I'm going to talk about these later on, but give you an idea. Causal forces of disintegration, disunity, corruption, and pollution in the context of Bharatvarsh. Three big forces. Kala Chakra, Shakti, we'll talk about later on. External forces and internal forces. Ajnana Kshetra, Adharma Kshetra. And we will go over, because most of the lectures and ideas and talks, table talks by so many leaders of different varnas and colors and shades. You will hear only the one side of the story. External invasions, Mughal imperialism, British colonialism. But that's the only one side of the story, prominent one, but only one side. Other side of the story is the internal forces from within the India's social conditions for last several hundreds or probably 1,000 years. So we'll talk about these forces of disintegration and degeneration, how these became the contemporary situation in Bharatvarsh. And so we'll all together, let us all offer our prayers together. Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahanau Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karvavahi, Tejasvanavadhitamastu, Ma Vidvasavahi. Om Santi, Santi, Santi. And concluding request, my humble सबको चरण वंदन करता हुआ, मैं सबके चरणों में वंदन करता हुआ रिक्वेस्ट करता हूं कि याद रखो, यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णा यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरा तत्र श्री विजयो भूतिर ध्रुवा नीतिर्मतिर. Let us all try to become Pandav, ready for Vanvas, and to re-establish the Sanatan Dharma in its contemporary world. My humble clarion call to all, please rise up and get rid of mental slavery. Re-engage in Karma Yoga. Simply talking will not be enough or effective enough. We have to do Karma Yoga. Bring in a new foundation of education system with innovation and continuity. We have to transform, innovate, we have to provide, we have to critique our own wisdom traditions which need to be reformed, need to be updated, need to be upgraded in every field of contemporary human actions and experiences. And then finally, I want dakshina from all of you. I bow down to ask for your blessing and forgiveness. With this, I conclude. Satyameva jayati, Satyameva jayati, Satyameva jayati. बहुत धन्यवाद.
Thank you, Dr. Shiv Chaturvedi. It was an excellent presentation. We have some questions. Actually, if we have time, we could take some questions. The first question is from Mr. Amit Pandit. Amit Pandit ji, please unmute yourself and ask the question, and Dr. Chaturvedi ji will respond.
Pranam, Dr. Chaturvedi ji, thank you so much for this wonderful lecture that you've given to us. And I'm just going to give a small introduction, and then I have two questions you may answer, either of both of them, depending on the availability of your time. So, sir, I'm saying this on the authority of Jagat Guru, Shankaracharya Nishalananda Saraswati ji of Govardhan Puri Pit, since I'm not even a humble student. I mean, I'm just studying this, and I'm saying this on his authority that Varna is by Janma and not by Karma alone. So Janma is the predeterminant factor for deciding somebody's Varna. That's one thing. So based on this, I have two questions that if Varna is by Karma and it is not by Janma, then what is the point in having these classifications in the first place? I mean, if it is only by our actions that we become a Brahman or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra, then what's the point in having these classifications? Second question, it's not actually my question, it's actually from an Iranian friend who's very much interested in Sanatana Dharma, but he's more towards the Tantra side than understanding it in totality, and he has some issues with the Vedic form. And this is his question, and I'm going to read it out to you. It's basically what he asks is that what about those individuals, talking in the perspective of the Varnashrama Dharma, that what about those individuals who fall through the cracks? And what he means by that is that 99% you are aligned towards the karma of a different varna, but due to whatever mistakes or follies you might have incurred in your previous janma, you
Yeah.
fall into a different varna, right? And now you are stratified into a particular section of society where you do not find any consonance or understanding with, and it leads to a kind of mental trauma that you have to suffer for a very long time in your life. Right. So these were my two questions, and thank you very much
These
for your presentation.
beautiful Panditji, they are the very, very pertinent, very powerful questions, very great questions. And actually, these questions will be addressed. I have already planned to address these questions when we talk about the valuation, relative valuation, evaluation, and ranking, and what happens when both the questions relates to there are in the future lectures. So I'm going to answer better with with everyone can have access to my slides later on, but let me give you briefly. There are two schools of thoughts. One is called the Janma se Varna, other ones are Karma se Varna. Okay. Actually, there are three categories, three important categories. And this debate has been going on during the Mahabharata Kal as well. So I will illustrate those when the pertinent lecture comes into place. Okay, this is not the new. This has been going on within our own tradition. There are three variables: Janma, Karma, and Guna. Janma, Karma, and Guna. So under these variables, and we have 4 varnas. So I'm going to discuss about the permutation and combination of these 4 varnas under 3 important categories, under 3 forces: janma se, karma se, ya guna se, ya janma karma guna se. So all these combinations I'm going to talk about the next lecture. However, briefly, I'm going to talk about this, answer this question to you. Number 1, when you say you are Brahmana by Jan, this statement is not correct under contemporary situation. Under this yuga, Kali Yuga, this statement is not fully valid. Okay. What you can say, yes, I am in this society, I'm in this time, I exhibit these guna and karma, I can be called a Brahman. I am using Brahman karma. I am engaged in Brahman karma, Brahman varna karma, or I am engaged in Kshatriya varna karma, or I am engaged in Sudra varna karma. I am engaged in Kshatriya varna karma. All the varna, when they go out and fight a yuddha, आज के कंटेम्परेरी युद्ध देख लीजिए. When we fight out in the battlefield, we all are in the battlefield. You go out and see all people from all these four varnas, they go out in battlefield. मिलिट्री में है सभी, क्षत्रिय भी है, ब्राह्मण भी है, जिनको आप जात से ब्राह्मण कहते हैं, जात से क्षत्रिय कहते हैं, जात से वैश्य कहते हैं, और जाति से जो है शूद्र कहते हैं. They all fight, they all battle, and they are really acting as a Kshatriya varna. So in the contemporary world, in the Kali Yuga, if somebody tells me I am Brahman simply, or I am Kshatriya simply, or I am Sudra simply, because I am born in that family, is not valid statement. That's the question. Answer, brief, very superficial, brief answer to the first question. Second question, who have fallen within the cracks. And I have talked about today what you call the Mishrit Varna. An individual in contemporary world, most of us, there are exceptions, most of us follow the Mishrit Varna. It means all the four Varnas together in one personality. Falling out of the crack, it simply means that we do not know what we are talking about, because these varnas and the associated dharmas with them, 30 dharmas for example, they all are the exhaustive categorization. They don't leave out. Yes, they left out, for example, antyaj, that the term comes antyaj, jo ki bahar. Bahar are only those in traditional jati base, in the birth based varna, they are out, because those people who stay out, they do not want to accept the four varna, the ideas and the one and the concept and the karmas based on these four traditionally birth based dharma. So this is what the difference, that's what the crack is. Crack is the part of ajnana. There is no crack actually. There is nothing excluded in these classifications. As far the tamas vritti contains all exhaustible varieties of the what you call the divisive and opposite the sattvic properties of individuals. So this is what I'm going to, Panditji, am I making some sense to you a little bit? Hello?
I think he's not present now.
Okay, Finn.
I would just add one more point there, that in order to answer some of the part of these questions, one needs to understand the nature of death and the nature of the transfer of karma back to life. That part is very important. But anyway, I will leave it at that. So let's take another question now. Nalini Vanapatiji is the second person who raised the hands. Please ask your question.
Namaste Chaturvedi ji. I think this was a wonderful lecture. The reason why I call it a good lecture is something that makes you, aware of things that you have never heard, you did not know, and forces you to contemplate, right? So again, as a part of this thing processing, again, I'm bringing something from my memory, what I have read something, so trying to make meaning of it, right? Again, I think you have touched it elaborately on Swabhav, right? So again, I'm bringing something from Yajnavalkya Smriti in the context of action, right? Where Yajnavalkya Maharshi says, right, there are 5 things, right? That's in action is, action and karma phala, right? Yeah. So the 5 things I think he mentions are, one is Daivi ki, right? Which is essentially, previous momentum, right? Karma phala. Yeah. The second thing is Swabhav, right? The tendencies, right? And the third one is time, right? And the
Yeah.
fourth one is called Purushakara, and the fifth is the combination of all of these, right?
That's
and then he says that ultimately it is the Purushakara, your voluntary action, right, that actually changes, the Swabhav and the Viki for the next life, right? So
Yes.
in that particular context, right, so I'm kind of interpreting that, say, when we say by birth, right, again, I think even by birth, it does not mean, again, this is just my statement, I could be totally wrong, right? When we say birth, my father could consider himself as a Brahmin, but
I would request everybody, please keep your questions short, because it is becoming too elaborate, and there are many others who are here in the queue. So please keep your questions short and sharp. And right now, actually, the question. So please continue with your thing and ask the question.
So what is your question, sir?
So my question is, just because I have taken birth to a father, that was considered as Brahmin, it does not mean my Brahmin. I know basically I have a swabhava of qualities of Brahmin. That's it. That's all it means, right? And then again, the reason why I'm also trying to bring this stuff is, is the combination of you introduced the concept of Adi Daivika, Adi Bhautika, and Adhyatmika. So I think Dharma is Adi Daivika and Karma is Adi Bhautika, and between the what is missing is
Sir,
the
is it a
samskara,
question or
which
is it a
forces...
comment? I would like to, please, is it a
What
question
is
or
your
a comment?
question, sir?
Yeah.
What is your question, sir?
What is your question, please? There are others in the queue.
Okay, so I think my question is there a connection between Dharma and Karma, and is the missing component samskara? That's my question.
Yes.
Which is
Yes.
Adi.
Yes, sir. They're all interconnected. They are all interconnected, and let's look at the ideas like this. Let's take the any action. Let's take, for example, water. Okay, we are familiar with the water. Okay, let's take water. What is the dharma of water? Dharma of water means properties of the water, physical properties of the water. That's the dharma of the water. What is the varna of the water? Here, dharma of the water and the varna of the water, they collapse into one. Whatever is dharma of the water is the same as the varna of the water. What is the karma of water? What is the karma of water? What does the water do? All the properties that are meaningful to the existence, which is the fundamental element of our own existence. So, oh my goodness, that's the karma of the water. We cannot live without water. Water is very much the part of ourself, part of the whole world, part of the nature, part of the existence. So these are the karmas. What other karmas are? Well, we can make a dam and get the electricity out of it. So there are all actions produced by water are also can be under dharma state or कर्म जब धर्म हो जाते हैं या कर्म धर्म नहीं है. For example, the same water which is the foundation of the existence, same water can be foundation of the dissolution. बाढ़ आ जाती है, बांध टूट जाते हैं, आप जो है कि आकाश फट पड़ता है. They become the same elements which are the sources, which is the dharma of the water. And when the water acts in a way to destroy the existence, it becomes a dharma of the water. So this is how dharma, karma, and varna are interrelated to each other. They sometimes collapse, sometimes they separate, and that's what it goes. In human potential, it becomes much more complex. So later on, actually, the jati, whether you are by birth or you are by karma or you are by Gun, what your position is socially in the social domain, we will talk about in the following lectures. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Now the question is from Vandana Sharmaji. Please unmute yourself and ask the question. But please keep the questions short so that because there are other people in the line.
Namaste.
Namaste.
In the astrological charts, when I see my chart, it says I'm born in Brahman Varna, whereas my husband says he's born in Shudra Varna, whereas by Kul, we are born in both Brahman Kula. So what is that about? It is like accumulation of our deeds that are showing in our chart. Thank you, sir.
That's a great question. And actually, I was trying to bring that point in the following lectures, but I'm glad you asked me, so I will briefly talk about. If you look at the Kundali, your own Kundali, you will find out, even if you are born in a particular Varna, okay, but from Kundali, you may not be actually having those Varnas in your Kundali. Okay, why? Where does it come from? Well, it means the Kundali is telling you that actually your Subhav is like Seva Subhav. Subhav belongs to your Sudra Varna according to the Kundali. But you are born in a Brahman family. It does not mean if you are born in family, you are necessarily a Brahman. No. So these are the classification and the bearing on different classification use different criteria to designate you what you are, what you can be, what your potential is. You not necessarily be those. For example, देवताओं के घर में अच्छे महान पुरुषों के घर में, महान नारियों के घर में दैत्य पैदा हुए, और दैत्यों के घर में जो है कंचे देवता पैदा हुए. How will you explain that? So this is what is about. It's not about your no. This is really about what you call the combination of several factors: jati, karma, and guna, and prarabdha. All these, sorry, not jati, birth, sorry, janm, karma, burn, and prarabdha, all these combined together will give you an understanding that there is a potential in this person behaving like this, behaving like this, behaving like this, acting like this, acting like this. These are the observable. How can you tell me what I am unless you observe my actions? Don't you agree with me? I am, if you look at me, you will not know whether I am a criminal or not a criminal. How do you know? I have to act out accordingly. So the karma as a visible mode of deciding how you are acting under those situations will identify to some extent what you are acting as. You are acting as a Brahman, you are acting as a Sudra, or you are acting as a Kshatriya, or you are acting this way or that way. So these are the four which are based on a lot of factors, lot of fields interacting with each other, and as a result, what is the visible? That is what you are acting accordingly defined with reference to that word.
Thank you. I may add at this point that in physics, for example, all definitions are given in terms of the action.
Action.
Yes, but
visible.
Anyway.
Not only those actions, but visible actions.
Yes, obviously. So next question is from Professor Devi Prasad ji. Please unmute yourself and ask the question.
Namaskar, Namaskar.
Namaskar,
Dr.
namaskar ji,
Chaturvedi ji.
namaskar
Very
ji.
erudite talk on our dharma, and I'm having very two questions. That is that is basically the Banna Sankara and the mixed Banna. Is it both are same? That is the first question. And the second question is that what are the methods of identifying the Varna from the childhood of a person?
Yeah.
There are two
These are
questions.
the
Is that clear?
The mixed Varna is the what you call the Varna Sankara. Okay,
fine.
mixed Varna is the Varna Sankara. And most of us in contemporary times, most of us in this yuga and contemporary times are the Varna Sankara. Okay. Okay. So this is what I'm making a statement, very bold statement. Most of them have, but the Varna Sankara does not mean that we do not act in certain ways. We act under different contexts in different ways corresponding to different Varnas. And there are only 4 Varnas, major. Okay. Now the second question you raised, how do you determine from the birth? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. How I can identify?
Okay. I will.
Child.
Yes, that's a wonderful question. I will bring up that issue when I go further into these lectures. And that issue actually relates to what we call how to identify the nature of a child. Okay.
Yes,
nature of a child. And you know, there's a big debate going on. It has been going on for last 1,000 years in the Western world. Nature versus nurture. Okay. This big debate is going on. Nature versus nurture debate is going on. There is another debate going on, is that really even identical twins have individuality. Where does it come from? Even identical twins, siblings, you know, siblings have different personalities. Where does it come from? The same parents, they have the same, parents have the same genetic makeup, mother and father. Why the siblings are so different? In their nature, in their actions, in their gunas, in their avgunas, why they are different? These questions are very wonderful questions, and I do not have a definite answer, but I will lead you, all of you and myself, to re-educate ourselves that what are the standing issues which we do not have a perfect answer. Thank you.
Now the next question here is Mr. Oman Sheikh. We have about 5 minutes left. So Omanji, please ask your question and you'll get the answer. We have two more people actually in the line.
Okay. Thank you very much. First and foremost, I apologize for joining you late. From what I've been able to observe and hear, I'm really, really intrigued, and I'm thankful to Dr. Chaturvedi ji for the way he's dealt with this topic that I've been kind of searching for the past 40 odd years. I am Indian, born in Africa, but with parents in Gujarat or grandparents from Gujarat. And I've stayed there for 10 years, studied there, and this issue of caste has been intriguing. But the thing that has driven me right now to delve more deeper into it is that I've had a request from a Hindu student from Delhi who I don't know, have not met, but she's been a topper and she wants to come to Oxford to study ancient scriptures from Bharat. And we're looking at finding ways and means of financially supporting her on this journey. She is Hindu and she wants to study. And this is the only place, this particular specific thing that she's looking for available through studying it in the Sanskrit language. So I think I've hit a gold mine when I've stumbled on what you were saying, and from what I've heard, It has been really inspiring and encouraging for me. So I want to place on record my thanks to you and for the organizers for this. But I have a question, and the question is, how can this mystery and this issue of identity and belonging, which is affecting us as human beings, regardless of whether we believe in a being, a supernatural being or not, an issue of identity and belonging is key for our own sense of direction, where we are coming from, where we are heading. So how can, is there anything that you can suggest by way of literature that can simplify this concept of caste system in India? Because most of the Western commentators talk about it in a negative sense. And deep down, I believe that there must have been some wisdom in this for it to be there, and faith traditions ranging from Islam, Christianity, and others that have come after the Hindu Dharma have continued to benefit from the wisdom, but yet still fail to understand the reasoning behind that. So if there's something that you could suggest by way of literature that I could use, because I'm not familiar with the faith and its detail, and it's something that I want to get to know better, for me to be able to then make appeals to people that may financially benefit this academically gifted young Hindu lady who wants to study it further for the benefit of common good.
Thank you so much. I offer my obeisances to you, sir. It's a great question. As I go along with these lectures, I will be talking more about these. Number one, what your question is a very wonderful question. Let me give you a very, very unifying idea, okay, that cuts across every kind of other classification, that gives you an idea that what is at the bottom. And the bottom is, why do we want to go at the bottom, the foundation? Because let me give you an analogy that will be very clear to many of the audiences. Of course, you will appreciate this. That, can you tell me how many different types of building structures are there in the world? Thousands of varieties. If you look at outside, look at their color, their texture, their architecture, the configurations, all is so much variety, thousands of types of the buildings. And if I ask you, please do categorization, how do I look at this immense variety and diversity and plurality from a simplified, unified way? How can I look at? If you ask me this question, I'm going to answer the question. Yes. If you give me, no matter what building, what structure you give me, I can know the structure very well, because I know the basic 10 principles on which every structure can be built. Where do I go? I go to the principles on which the structures are built, the foundation on which the structures are built. Outer features, if we do measurement, we do coloration, we do all kinds of classification, which is good, but they will not tell me what is the unity behind it, how we can look at the unified point of view. You have to go to the basic fundamental principles. So the basic fundamental principles from the Vedic wisdom tradition is that individual human being is the entire cosmos. You are the center of the cosmos. Everything is within you. And how do you then identify yourself? So then identification starts from the basic foundation. For example, where do we start identification of a child in the womb? where do you start identification? How do I define a child which is fetus, for example? I have to look at where the fetus coming from. There is a sperm and there is an egg fused together. I call this yogic integration. The language I use, yogic integration. And then start growing. If you look at the development of human being from the inception, from the conception, all the way up, and up to how the person is going to act, how the person is going to behave to. So in Hindu tradition, if you call it, in Hindu Dharma tradition, the individual is the center. That's the unit which we have to study. And this unit is common to all humanity, no matter whether you are you follow this path or you follow this path, you follow this path, you are from a Brahmic tradition, you are from so-called Hindu tradition, you are from this. No, Hindu tradition says, no, you start with you as an individual unit. Just like in the whole world of chemistry, where do I start from? I start with the molecule. That's the basic fundamental unit I start from. When I start in the biological sciences, where do I start from? Cell. I have to identify first cell, what the cell is about. What happens? Then you can keep on creating what I call creating new identities and erasing those identities. We do all the time. I'm professor at outside the classroom. When I come home, I become husband, I become son, I become father, I become friend, I become saver. See how many identities I have, and corresponding to each identity I have dharmas and karmas and gunas. Okay, so I really create many, and you all create, even if you may not know what you are creating unknowingly, because it's not in your consciousness yet visible to you. All create different identities all the time, from morning to evening, from birth to death. We all create different identities all the time, and then we create also group identities based on the idea that we carry with us. So, my dear friend, in order to tell that, you have to go to the foundation principles, and then how these principles manifest in reality. There Satrajtam is there, and Satrajtam and mixed of Satrajtam, they exhaust all the possibilities. They are fields that exhaust all the possibilities. So I will stop here at this time, give you some analogy with the material world, and we'll continue this discussion. So please, I will invite you to come again and give us blessing.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I would take this as a last question, because Vivekji has been waiting for some time. We are already a little too late. So Vivekji, please keep your question concise, and please ask it quickly so that we can wind up in about next 3 minutes.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. I'm going to ask one question. That want to ask my personal question, that I belongs to a Vash community from Ujjain, MP, as an advocate practicing in Delhi High Court. And my partner is from Colombia. She came to India, and from the last 15 years, she's serving in Vrindavan. Now, if we want to marry, then she has a no gotra, she having no varna, and according to the Shankaracharya, Nishant Saraswati, if I marry her, our child will get into the one Shankar. So what is, if I go from that parampara, from the Advait philosophy, then I can't marry her. But if I get into the Gaudiya Sampradaya, which is from which wing she belongs, ISKCON, then there is no rituals, there is no one Shankar, there is no one. So how we should, in Indian philosophy, there are the different school of thoughts. So we should carry on these things or not? Can You can
That-
answer for that.
That's a great question. Actually, that question again lends to three criteria: Janma, Karma, and Guna. Okay, and in the contemporary world, I will follow only what you call the Guna and Karma. Okay, because good karma for personal relationship like Vivaha Sanskar, good karma must be compatible. The birth becomes irrelevant because these varnas are for every human being, whether they recognize or not. Okay, so do not recognize the birth based varna, recognize the karma and guna based the criteria. So varna is now you're defined as guna karma because you have compatibility. Compatibility requires two things, very, very important. Satkarma and sadgun hone chahiye, aapke andar compatible hone chahiye. That's what it is. Because sometimes guna and karma, maybe person I have lot of good qualities, but I do not act according to those good qualities. My karmas are bad. Or karmas are good, my gunas are really not good. So when you have a family relationship, you have to look at guna and karma both. Traditional description and identification based on birth only has no relevance at all to my contemplative thinking. मेरा योग का साधन और जो गौड़ीय वैष्णव में है और भी सभी संप्रदायों में जो बात कही गई है और हम इसको बताएंगे, आगे लाएंगे कि ये ब्रेकअप कहाँ से हुआ, ये डिस्कशन कहाँ से हुआ. I will bring up for you. I would suggest you, if good karma are compatible each other and both are sadguna and satkarma, go ahead and do the Vivaha Sanskar.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I got the answer. Thank you.
Thank
I'm very happy.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chaturvedi ji. I apologize to Mr. Dhruv and Mr. Satyendra because we will not be able to take any more questions. It is already 2 hours almost. So please follow up your questions on the Facebook, and perhaps Dr. Shiv Chaturvedi ji may be able to answer it there, or somebody else may attempt to answer. Thank you very much.
Khalsa, just a second. Give him my phone number. I will be happy to, and I apologize again because these questions have been asked, very wonderful, very unique, very, very meaningful questions, and I have to elaborate on those answers little bit so that actually I will be able to communicate. And I apologize to all of you for anything that you feel offensive about. I offer my apology.
Dhruvji and Satyendraji, I have left my phone number on the chat. Please use that phone number and get in touch with me, and I will give you the Dr. Chaturvedi ji's number, and you can ask him the question personally. Thank you very much, everybody, for having patience and bearing with me for the last 2 hours almost. So, namaskar to everyone.